Now we're good. All right, we just have to clap so the audio like knows when it's all timed. So just
Wow.
1, 2, 3. There you go. Now it's good.
Cool.
All right. Man, where'd that skunk go? Let me see this thing we brought.
Here she is.
Come here.
No.
Come here.
Oh, God.
No. Oh my God.
She's going to destroy the whole podcast. Okay.
Who get her? Oh, oh my God. That skunk's like, hell no. He's chilling. Oh my gosh.
All right.
Come here. You little fur ball.
Start of the podcast, and we almost had a skunk death.
Oh my gosh. This thing's hilarious. It's so funny. She'll just chill.
Yeah. I always tell people they're like the perfect mix between a cat and a dog because they're like playful and kind of like ferrets, like how they're playful and like to run around and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're super low maintenance.
Low maintenance?
Yeah, like they just like literally go to the bathroom in their litter box. Like they can have like a pretty small cage in comparison to something like, I don't know, like what you'd have to. But we like built her like a custom cage that's like a, it looks like a mid-century modern like shed roof thing, and then it's got like a top layer, and then there's like a ladder going down, and it's got a bottom layer. Yeah. And then she has like a sandbox because they dig to get like food and stuff because they eat worms and bugs and stuff. So she like you can show the camera. She's got like really big claws. And
We'll show.
Okay.
I remember when you first got this skunk and you brought it in.
Yeah.
I've never seen this skunk.
And then we tricked some of the clients into thinking you just found it.
I know. I was telling people I got it out of the dumpster.
Out of the dumpster, yeah. I was tattooing the other day, and my client was, I can't even remember where I was tattooing her, but she was having a hard time sitting, and she was like getting a little twitchy and stuff. And then all of a sudden she like jerked and was like, "What was that outside the window?" And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "It was an animal, but I don't know what kind of animal it was. It was crazy." And I was like, so I jump up and I go around the other side, and it's a squirrel like sitting on the ground like out there. And I'm like, "It was a squirrel." She's like, "There's no way it was a squirrel." And I'm like, "It literally." And she like looked up. She's like, "Oh, I guess that is a squirrel."
That's funny.
Yeah.
You need to get one of those. I wanted to get one of those bird feeders.
That's what I'm gonna do. I actually have it saved.
Stick on the window.
Yeah, I have it saved in my Amazon cart right now because I found ones that are a bird house too, so they stick on the window and you can see the babies.
That's funny. So, speaking of birds, you missed it, but I have the video on my security camera. There was a bird in the ceiling.
Here?
Yeah, and it was probably like 3 weeks ago. I was tattooing this guy named Donovan. If he watches this, he's gonna laugh. When I got in the morning, I could hear something like crawling on the ceiling.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what the hell? So I looked through, like, it was one of those mesh tiles right there. And it was a giant black bird was just looking down in there.
Oh my God.
And I shined my phone flashlight on and then it just took off. Well, when Donovan got there, I was like, hey man, if you hear something in the ceiling, like there's a fucking bird in the ceiling. I don't even know how.
So did it ever go away or?
No. So what it did is we were getting ready to tattoo and we hear it like crawling and it goes all the way to the corner edge, and that pipe back there, there's a hole like this big. Its head stuck through there. And then I was like, dude, that's a fucking bird that I'm talking about. It flew out and came straight at us. Fucking flew into the window and knocked itself out. I swear, I got it all on camera.
Did it die?
No, it like stunned itself.
Okay.
And Donovan's like juking around the bird. I'm like, what the fuck? I got a broom. And I like tried to whoosh it toward the door. It fucking came up over the thing, landed in my sink.
Oh no!
Yeah, landed in my sink.
I hope you sterilized everything.
Oh yeah, I masticated the shit out of everything. I was like a fucking bird on the countertop. But and then I was like, Donovan, like, yo, open that back door, and I opened this door, and then I like swooshed the bird off the counter, and then it flew back at him. Did another lap and then went right out the door, and then it was stunned because when it went out the door, it's just like sitting there.
Oh, poor guy.
So
We at my house, Justin was working one day and he heard like fluttering like in the wall next to his desk. Yeah. And he's like, what is going on? And so he's like tapping and he hears it like moving around. So he cut a hole in the wall that was like about that big. And he like reached his arm down there and like pulled out this bird like with his hands. And so then he like went and let it outside. And I guess there's woodpeckers like in our house or like that pecked like bees out of the side of our house because our house had wood on it. Really? Yeah, and so it would like make a hole to get the bees out, but then the holes were big enough that littler birds could get in there, and then they get stuck in our walls. Dang. So we had to go out like every spring and like patch it up.
That's so crazy.
But this other time in art school, have you ever been to the sculpture building at Heron?
Is it connected with the school?
It's like over on Indiana.
No,
okay.
Probably not.
So it's like they made a new gallery space and the window or like the ceilings are like 50 feet high probably. And it's just like glass walls, like from floor to ceiling. And this one time we were setting up a gallery show and a bird got into the gallery. And so it was like flying around and
while people were there.
Yeah. At the gallery yes. Show. And so we were trying to like kind of shoo it out. We were like opening, there was like garage doors, you know, that we could open. So we were opening those up, trying to let it go out. And finally it went down the hallway and it thought that it was a way out because there was a glass door and it just smacked that glass door and just fell down. And we were all like devastated. Like we thought it was dead. And our sculpture professor, Stacy, went over and she picked it up and she like listened to it like this. And then she like took its little head and went, she was like, I guess I got to take it out of its misery because it's like, you know, dying and it's still breathing. So she goes like this and goes, and you hear the pop. And then it came back alive and flew out the door.
Holy shit. And she so chiropracted it back to life.
Yeah, so we're always like, you're like the magical bird doctor.
Holy
like,
shit. I would have been way too afraid.
Oh, I know. And
that's why I didn't pick up that bird. I was like, I don't know. My dad always told me don't touch a bird.
Oh, yeah, because they're dirty.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, so. Yeah, now I go to a chiropractor because I'm like, if it can bring that bird back to life, I mean,
bring it back to life.
Obviously.
That's so funny.
But,
yeah, no, that was a crazy day.
Oh man.
You keep ripping to my leg.
I should probably do like what do you call those? Like a warning or whatever. If you want a pet skunk, so you do have to have a license through the DNR.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Explain to everybody like how you got it.
Yeah.
Like what all you got.
So I've always wanted a skunk, like for a really long time, because my cousin used to work at Petco, and she said that one of her customers had one, and it was like super cool and super nice. I also love possums, but they only live to be like 5 years old, so I was kind of, and it's just harder to get possums, like captive bred. But I also didn't want to like support a breeder who is like breeding them and making a bunch of money off of them when they're wild animals. Yeah. So I joined like a Facebook group that's like Rescue Skunks of Indiana or whatever. And somebody had her, and her and her husband had gotten a divorce, and the skunk was running around and like biting the ankles and like the toes of like the little kid, like kind of like what she was doing earlier, just running around, but she would like nip at the kid like playing. And I guess it like broke her skin at one point in time. And that's like the first thing. If an animal, like a wild animal, like breaks the skin of a person and somebody reports it, they almost always immediately put the animal down. Really? It's like really hard to, you know, just because they're like, we don't want a wild animal to be like a danger. So one of my friends had a fox when she was like living in an apartment, which is like the worst idea ever. But the fox bit her, and the animal control ended up coming and taking it and putting it down. So if you're gonna get a wild animal as a pet, you have to make sure, you know, that you're making sure that it's not gonna bite somebody. But so her ex-husband was like threatening to call animal control on the mom because she was like, or he was like, oh, that wild animal's like biting my kid. Wow. So she posted on Facebook and was like, I'm just trying to find a better home for her where she's like not going to get taken by animal control. So I messaged her and we figured that out. This is the ankle biting skunk. Yeah. But she was only like 6 months when I got her, and skunks can live to be like 8 to 10 years old. Yeah. So she's like about 2-ish now. But you have to be 8 to 10. Yeah. And in captivity, they actually live longer. And same thing with possums. Possums usually only live to be like 4 or 5, but in the wild, they only live to be like 2 because they get like hit by a car or eaten by something, you know? Yeah. So. And
for those of you wondering, this skunk doesn't have a stinks.
Yeah, that's like my number one question I get is people are like,
"Can it spray me?
Can it spray me?" And I'm like, "No, I can't." Like, but that's what I was telling Travis earlier. The only bad thing about it is that it, when she poops, it still like does have a little bit of that stinky, smelly skunk smell.
Like, kind of smell it.
But I'm like, most people smoke weed anyway, so I'm like, my house just smells like somebody's smoking weed a little bit every time she takes a poop.
That's so funny. It's super like just chill.
Yeah, she's really chill and she's really sweet, and like that's what like I had ferrets before.
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. And the thing that I like about skunks better than ferrets is my ferrets used to like, they would not poop in their litter box. Like they would poop in every single corner of their cage, but they wouldn't poop in the litter box. So I actually put litter boxes in every single corner, and they would like shove the litter boxes out of the way and like poop behind them. And she like uses her litter box perfectly. Like she sleeps most of the day, and so she's really easy to take care of. Yeah. So as far as you know,
smell like her if I'm holding her?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah. But
and they don't like loud noises.
Yeah, no. When Travis walked in, she like went booking across the room.
It was funny. I was like, what the?
But yeah, so I as far as like all the exotics that I have, don't jump off the freaking table again, you crazy.
There you go.
Oh yeah, and I gotta show
you. You're grabbing on my hand. She's like.
But my favorite thing is her little feet. I think they're so
she
cute.
does have cute. They just the tiniest, funniest little head. It kind of looks like a honey badger.
Yeah, and she kind of has like curly hair.
Yeah.
Like on the top of her head too.
They're super funny.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check this camera.
Okay.
Real quick.
See if you can see the skunk. What do you think? You gonna be a podcast star?
A podcast star. Pause.
And her name's Wednesday too.
Wednesday,
like Wednesday Addams.
I like it.
All right, well, I'll let you run around for a little bit.
Well, you might shut that back closet door. She goes in there. She'll definitely find.
Yeah.
She'll definitely find some critters.
She'll go into the pipe and then go up in the ceiling.
Oh my gosh. They can climb like that?
I mean, she's got this claw, but I don't know if she can climb on the pipe.
Booking it.
There you go. Now you're having fun.
What's she doing? Pooping?
No. That's what.
Do they look like a dog when they poop? Like they like.
Kinda. Yeah, they arch their back up a little bit, but
they're just hilarious.
They when they do that, that's like them turning around, like arching their back as they're gonna spray you.
Yeah.
So when they get startled, they turn around and she shoots her tail up like she's gonna spray you, but she can't because.
I thought we saw that one reptile show we went to. That guy maybe he had foxes for sale. I can't remember. It was one that we went to.
Oh yeah, that was the one up in Noblesville. They had skunks and possums.
Yeah. How much were they selling them for?
Only $400.
Dang. Yeah. Did you have to pay rehoming fee for yours?
Yeah. So I paid her $400, but
how much is a fox?
I don't know, probably like at least 800.
Couldn't you buy like an albino one too?
Yeah,
there's like all kinds.
Well, and so there's a really good account that you can follow on Instagram if you want to know what it's like to like own exotic animals called Juniper Fox.
Juniper?
Yeah, and she's got like 1 million followers, and like they actually follow me, which is really cool.
Really?
We've had a couple conversations.
That's cool.
Because if she ever gets a possum, she said she's gonna let me take it because she already has one. But she has a possum and two or three foxes, and a hedgehog and all sorts of exotic animals, but all of hers are rescues. So they're ones that were owned by somebody that, surrendered them. But for the foxes, especially, like they have to have like huge outdoor like enclosures. Like you can't keep them just inside because they're like, they're just will destroy your house, you know?
They need to like be able to run around.
Yeah. And they posted this one, they have a fox named Elmwood. And they always say that he's an alien because he's like all white and he just like looks kind of funny. And
it's like albino.
It's not albino because it has dark eyes, but it's just weird. But they have a picture of it jumping from like house to house, and the two houses are probably like at least 30 feet apart, and it gets like 20 feet in the air and like lands on the other one. Like it jumps so far, and it's like a running jump. That's crazy. Yeah, so I'm just like, unless you want that or running around your house all the time. Yeah. Like, so
a wild little kid.
Yeah. Oh God, worse. Like,
can you have like your dogs if you have a fox?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have. I think they have 2 dogs, and they actually want to adopt a dog from us at some point in time. That's how we kind of got connected, as they started following my rescue page. But I guess it just depends. Kind of like some dogs don't get along with other dogs. It's like some foxes. Like if you had like a foxhound or something that's like bred to kill foxes, like probably not a good idea. But like they have, I
don't know how to do with like cats.
I don't know if they have any cats, but these people have like a lab-looking dog, I think, and then like another smaller dog. And they all she posts pictures of them like cuddling and stuff, and it's really cute.
All get
at least it seems like it on Instagram. I know I post pictures of like my pets, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're so lucky! Like all your animals are so cute."
They're like, "You got like 17 dogs."
Yeah, we actually have 17 dogs at the house right now.
You do now?
Yeah, right now we've got 17.
That's that's crazy.
So if anybody's looking to adopt a dog, you can follow our rescue account on Facebook or Instagram. It's Pink Heart Rescue. And we have 2 blind pit bull puppies that have like no eyes at all. Like they're just like no eyeballs. And then we have 2.
They're just tiny, like.
Yeah. Well, one of them has like little micro eyes that are like so, little that it just looks like it doesn't have any eyeballs. But the other one, I like opened up its eyelids and I like don't see anything in there at all. So I think it just has like no eyeballs.
Like
at all.
A white eye, there's a white eyeball, or there is nothing in there.
There's nothing in there, so it's just like
it's
pink.
like a hollow cavity.
Yeah, so it's just like the pink stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah, so but it just looks like they're sleepy all the time because it looks like their eyes are closed.
But they're just blind.
Yeah,
they don't open.
No, and
where'd you get those ones from?
They came from a shelter up in Kokomo.
Okay.
Somebody had a litter of pit bulls because this is Indianapolis.
Were they just trying to breed like Merle pit bulls and
something? And these ones actually aren't Merle; they're just all white with like blackish brown spots, and they're really cute. But obviously they were just inbreeding them, and like for whatever reason, those ones weren't born with eyeballs, and so they were like, we don't want these ones, and they just dumped them at the shelter. So but so
you encounter so many shitty people. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it's rough. And that's well, I was actually telling one of my clients the other day, like the first dog I ever rescued through Pink Heart Rescue was a Great Dane, and we got Paisley, my Great Dane, and Zeus the same week, like together. And I had just gotten Paisley from a place in Mississippi, and then I drove down to like Edinburgh to pick up Zeus. Yeah. And when I got there, he was like so skinny, you could see like all of his bones. He was covered in fleas. And the 2 girls that were like giving him to me were like, "Oh yeah, we really want to keep him, but like we can't have him in our apartment and like whatever." And I was like, "Okay, if you really want to keep him,"
malnourishing this dog.
I know. And so and they just said we feed him a ton, but he just isn't getting any skin or like any bigger. I was like, okay. And then they wanted me to pay $300 for like because like for an adoption fee. But I told them if they could prove how much money they spent on vetting, I would like reimburse them for like the vet paperwork, because I didn't want to pay for a dog that I was going to rehome, because I'm like at that point I'm like, what's the difference between that and like pet flipping, you know? Yeah. So I found out that they put about $300 of vet care into him, so I paid him $300 for the dog. Got him home. Me and Justin.
I hear something scrambling around back there.
But Justin and I were sitting and in the yard giving this dog a bath at like 8 o'clock at night, and we pulled over 300 fleas off of this dog. And
you can't bring that dog back to your
and we had to keep it in the garage overnight. Then luckily it was the summer, so it was like warm enough and everything. But then so we pulled all the fleas off. We stopped counting after 300. Had to take the dog to the vet the next day and get it like a flea dip bath. The vet told us like if there was like a few more days that it hadn't been treated, it probably would have died, because they might have been feeding it enough, but the fleas were just sucking it dry. Yeah. So it wasn't like absorbing any nutrients. So I posted basically exactly what the vet said about this dog on our Pink Heart Rescue page, and those girls like called me and were like cussing me out. And like literally called me like every bad word you could call a woman like that you can think of. Shit. And they were just like, "You're just a dog flipper. You bought this dog off us, and then you're gonna sell it." Was it
because you posted about it on Facebook?
Yeah, and because I said that like the dog, I didn't
even tag them.
No, I wasn't like these people, and I didn't even say that they were like bad owners necessarily. Yeah. I was just like, yeah, it got fleas from like the mother-in-law's house, and then the fleas got out of control, like whatever. just saying what the situation was, so whoever adopted the dog
Just
knew.
being honest.
Yeah, and they got all mad. So I was like waiting outside of the vet's office for them to get done with the flea bath, and I was literally like crying in my car because I was just like so upset. And then I like got the puppy, and as I was walking him out, some lady stopped me and she goes, "Oh, is that a Great Dane puppy?" And I said, "Yeah." And I kind of explained that, like, I just started a double merle rescue, and double merles, if you breed two merles together, the puppies can be born blind and deaf. This dog's deaf, you know, whatever. And so then I go into my car and I set the puppy in the passenger seat, and he climbs over trying to get into the driver's seat and knocks over my venti Starbucks, spills it all over my lap, all over my car. And I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Like, maybe this is like the wrong thing. I'm like crying still. And then the lady comes back over and like knocks on my window, and I'm like sobbing. So I'm like trying to like, you know, like, yeah. And I roll down the window and she goes, I carry around $100 in my purse every month. And whenever I feel like God is telling me to give it to somebody, I just give it to them. And I just want to give you $100 towards this dog's vet care.
That's awesome.
I know. And so I was kind of like, all right, I guess I'm supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So,
but now you kind of got it down.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I'm just
better.
Used to people that abuse dogs are just going to be shitty people, and
Yeah.
they're going to be
You
shitty
probably
towards
heard,
me.
like every excuse, like, oh no, it's the dog's fault.
Oh yeah.
I feed it, it just doesn't grow.
It doesn't eat. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we try to feed it more and it just doesn't eat. And we had this one dog that came in like super, super skinny. And she actually didn't eat like when she was with us. Because I think she was so sad because she missed her owner, and she got brought in as a stray. And then we were able to find her owner and put her back with the owner. And within like a week of her being reunited with her owner, she'd already put weight back on.
Dang.
Yeah. So it was just like, she was just like depressed. And
Yeah.
it's funny because like dogs can get depressed and people don't like realize that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Poor puppies.
Yeah, you've done all kinds of stuff for dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Are you gonna go to Spain again and
I want
rescue
to.
another dog?
Yeah. So I
Do you still like contact with them? Or
yeah, it's actually really crazy. So I went to Spain 2 years ago now and rescued my dog Nevada, as well as 5 other dogs that were in Spain. Once these hound dogs are done being used, or they get pregnant and the people don't want the babies anymore, they just like release them into the wild, and then they just have to fend for themselves. So
what are they called again?
Podencos. Yeah, and so there's an organization called Hope for Podencos in Spain, and this woman Irene and her husband moved from Scotland to Spain to like start this rescue.
Yeah.
And so I went over and I got to stay with them for like 3 days and like help them take care of all the dogs. And like I mean I have 17 dogs in my house right now, but they had hundreds like in their facility. And like we woke up at 5 a.m., fed all the dogs, cleaned out all the kennels. By like noon, it was time for lunch. We stopped, we got lunch for an hour. Then it was time to feed them dinner. So we started going back through, cleaning the kennels again and feeding everybody dinner. By the time we were done with that, it was 8 o'clock.
And they're just all doing this for free.
Yeah. Just for like, you know.
Are they actually like, do they have a lot of people like rescuing those dogs?
Yeah. And what's nice is like, unlike here, it's really easy to like just go from country to country. So they literally have a caravan that comes, picks up dogs that are being adopted, and they like travel from Spain to all these other countries and like drop them off in other countries. Because in Spain, a lot of people don't treat dogs like the way that we treat them. Like they're not like a member of your family.
They're just like used for something.
Yeah, it's like they're hunting dogs. Like they live outside, they do their job, and that's it.
Yeah.
And if they can't do their job anymore, then they don't even want to waste a bullet on killing them. They just turn them loose, you know. So, it was just really cool to be. I felt like I had it bad, like just being like what I dealt with, and just how 17
dogs.
Oh man, yeah.
Go over there and you're like, holy
yeah, it's like crazy. And
is their facility huge?
Yeah, it like is literally like a castle. So you like pull up to it, and it's like a wall all the way around it, and it's got like guard towers like on like all the corners.
What?
And then they have to pull like this gate up to like let you in, and then you come in, and then I don't know what it was originally used for, but there's like a little house inside of it. But then also there's like all of these different rooms that look like they'd be like prison cells or something. Yeah. And they've just retrofitted them to have like dog safe kennels in those areas. And so they like, and then they have like one room that's actually, so their house, they originally had a big-ish house and then all of the kennels outside, but they got so many dogs, they cut their living space in half. and donated the other half of their house to like sick dogs or like dogs that can't be with the rest of the other dogs, like because they're too stressed out or whatever. And then they have like the infirmary, which has like all of the really sick dogs. And like those are ones like recovering from surgery or things like that. So like literally these people like already like the only money they have is like they go and they buy this Spanish beer every night, like and they have like Irene was an amazing cook and she cooked for us like every night we were there. So like they go to the town, they buy their beer and their groceries, and like that's it. Jeez. And then the rest of it is just like their whole lives are just like centered around these dogs. And
do they have a bunch of other people that like live there or like help them out?
No, it's just them. So, yeah. So they have volunteers that will come in like me. Like when I came in to like adopt my dog and take some of them back to the States, you know, I volunteered for 3 days. And they usually take like a week off, like once a year and like go on a vacation or go visit family, and they'll have volunteers come and like watch them. But most of the time it's just them. And I don't really know what's changed because this past year, 2020, I mean, I don't have to tell anybody, but it was like literally the worst year ever. I like lost so many people, like due to reasons like not even related to COVID. And Irene actually passed away from a brain aneurysm. In 2020. So Steve, her husband, has literally been doing like everything by himself and like running everything. And I think a lot of the volunteers have kind of stepped up to like help him, you know, because she would, and it was like me and Justin, it was like her thing, you know. Steve just kind of like, because he loved her, he became like passionate about it. So but it seems like
that's crazy.
That they've been doing good. But I'm like, I can't imagine. And I told Justin like when that happened, like I was so upset, and I knew this woman, and like we maintained a relationship. Like after I adopted Nevada, she'd like message me and like ask me how she was doing and just talk to me about dog rescue stuff. But I only knew her for 3 days, like in person, and it was still just like so like just knowing everything she did for those dogs, it was just like such a big loss. And I told Justin, I was like, if I ever die, I'm like, I don't want you to feel like you have to like keep doing this dog rescue. Because I'm like, this isn't what you're passionate about. And he's like, oh no, I'm going to do it. He's like, I'm going to do it just to spite you. And he's like, I'm going to make the rescue even better than it was before. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. But
Does it look like he probably still has like 100 dogs?
Yeah. I think they
like
kind of
realistically, like are people like rescuing enough dogs that like he will get rid of a bunch of those dogs? Or are they just gonna, like...
Well, the problem is just the amount that are so like if you think about it, it's like every year a hunter starts out with like, let's say 50 dogs, and so out of those 50 dogs, let's say 25 of them are female and 10 of them get pregnant. All of those pregnant ones, unless they like need more dogs, they'll just release, because they're like, we don't want to deal with puppies. So they'll just release all the pregnant ones. The pregnant ones have more babies out there. So then you have 10 females that each have 10 puppies.
Damn.
So then right there's 100 dogs, you know? So it's like there is like a demand, like people are willing to like rescue these dogs, but it's just like a thing that like, even if he gets rid of all of the dogs that they currently have, there's going to be 100 more next year that need help.
That's so crazy.
So it's just like cycling.
What are these guys like hunting them with? Like,
they're hunting for rabbits mostly. Okay. So like if you see like, they're related to greyhounds. So if you like see greyhound racing, when they like chase after like the rabbit and stuff, like that's basically what they do. They're super, super fast, and they can like chase down a rabbit and catch it and bring it back to the people. So that's mostly what they're used for. But but if they get like older than like 4 or 5 years old too, then they're like, oh, like you can't run as fast.
Dude, what is he in? Or I mean, what's she in? I hear it. Here, we'll take a break real quick. We'll see. That's cool. What we've been doing new besides the dog rescue?
I did a powerlifting competition last week. So
where was that
was
at?
Cool. It was in Ohio in a place called Marietta.
Okay.
It was like right on the border of West Virginia. So
was there like a lot of people from the gym that you go to that go do it?
Not a lot. There was only 2 actually. Then there was a girl from Fishers and a girl from South Bend.
Okay.
So
is that not like the big pop? I thought you went to one that was like a huge powerlifting competition.
I do. It's just like, oh wait.
I think you went to watch somebody.
I went to the Arnold last year.
Okay, the Arnold.
Yeah, which that's like the biggest like fitness competition kind of thing in the country, or one of them.
Where was that one?
That's in Ohio.
That was
also.
in Ohio.
That one I think is in Columbus.
Yeah, I thought.
But that was like right when COVID happened, so I already got our tickets and our hotel and all that stuff. And then like 2 days before the trip, they were like, "We're not allowing spectators in."
Boo.
But we'd already paid for everything,
Yeah.
so we went anyway, and we got to go to this like small little powerlifting gym. And I got to meet Steffi Cohen, who is like the most badass female power lifter. Oh my god, she's amazing. And so I got to meet her. I got my picture taken with her, and so that was really cool.
That's cool.
And then there's this guy named Jamal. I can't remember his last name, but he deadlifted 1,000 pounds at that gym.
Damn.
So I got to watch him do that. And he actually beat out Thor, who is like another huge powerlifter. He competed at the Arnold, and he only deadlifted like 997 pounds or something.
Yeah.
So this guy who wasn't even competing just showed up to this small little
threw it up for practice, like with nobody watching.
Yes, it was so cool.
That's so crazy.
That was really fun.
That's crazy.
But
how was this one that you went to?
it was good. It was my first one, so I was super nervous.
Yeah.
And when like the very first thing I did is I got up and I did a squat, and they literally say like squat.
And they're just like quietly watching.
Yeah. And I like thought that I was like, I don't know, because I don't know the commands very well yet because that was my first meet. So they said squat, and I thought I had to squat like exactly when they say squat. So I didn't take a breath or anything. Like I just went for it.
As soon as they say it.
Yeah. And I did it, and that was like fine. But like I got off of the platform, and my coach Naz was like, "Why the fuck didn't you breathe?" And I was like, "They just said squat, and I just did it."
They're gonna dock you points.
And she's like, "Okay, you need to breathe beforehand because the next one's gonna be heavier." And I'm like, "All right."
Oh my god.
So the second one went really well, and that was 181.7, I think, or 9, something like that. I squatted that one and got that one fine, and then my last one was 195.
Yeah.
Which I got it, but I wasn't low enough, so it didn't count because I was like a couple inches like.
And I'm guessing like
lower.
They don't say like, oh, you get, you know how like you'll get like a not like a practice squat, like that's the one that you do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
and they probably grade you on how low you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you get to do 3 attempts, and there's like rules that you like. So one of the things is like your butt has to be below your knees, or like not your butt, but the top of your thighs need to be below your knees. So you have to be below parallel.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a low squat.
Yeah. So instead of like this, you have to be like this, you know? And
are you using like a Smith machine? No.
It's free weights.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So so when I first started, the most I'd ever squatted before was 150.
Okay.
And now I'm squatting 200.
That's awesome.
So I wanted to hit
2 plates.
Well, yeah, that's the goal. I wanted to hit 205 at this meet, but I tweaked my back a little bit like the week before. And so I think I was just like feeling like a little bit nervous. I think I was like hesitating a little bit to go all the way down.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're working on now before my next meet is to just strengthen my lower back and strengthen my knees, because I also have a torn PCL in my left knee.
Okay.
And I think that's another thing that just with the squats, I just get really nervous because I know I have that injury.
Yeah. You just don't want it to mess up.
Yeah, I just get nervous. So it kind of was good, but it kind of sucked that like my weakest one was my first one.
Yeah.
But I got it out of the way, so that was good. And then
were there some other people that kind of weren't as
well, so I was really nervous because
I'm sure there's other people that were there for the first time.
Yeah, there were a few, but like especially during my squat, I was the first one to go
out
of everyone. And the reason I was the first one to go is because my starting weight was the lowest out of everybody. So they rank it. So it makes sense, like the person that's starting with the lowest weight, so they don't have to keep like taking plates off and putting them back on. So I'm like, fuck, like it's my first meet. I'm the lowest number. I'm the weakest person here.
Yeah.
And I like really started beating up on myself. And Naz like snapped me out of that really quick. And she's like, it doesn't matter. Like we're learning. Like this is all good.
Yeah.
Like,
This is
you're
your
gonna be
first
fine.
one.
So I was like, okay. But basically at that point, I'm like, okay, well, if I'm starting with the lowest, there's no way I'm going to place, because I'm starting the lowest. So, but I guess, so like a bunch of people failed. So I only failed really.
Because some of these people are trying to like
lift like heavy
do
weights.
their PR.
Yeah, yeah. And so I only failed one lift, and it was my last deadlift.
Okay.
And I think that the reason I failed it is because I've pulled this weight before in the gym.
Yeah.
And I think it was technically 231. I've pulled 230 in the gym.
Okay.
And I think the only reason I failed it is because I was so tired from doing everything else.
Yeah.
That I was just a little burnt out. But I did do. Oh, what did I? 195, I think, was for my deadlift.
Okay.
And then I pulled that and was fine. But then that one I actually failed. Like I just couldn't even get it up off the ground. Or I got it up off the ground. I got it up to like my mid shin, and then I was like shaking, and then I dropped it.
I bet some of these girls that are trying to do like crazy weight, like
yeah,
that they probably.
Well, there was one girl that failed all 3 of her benches, and she just went home. She didn't even stay for a deadlift.
How much was she trying to bench?
Like 200.
Was her arms just like shaking like crazy?
Yeah.
Damn.
And like I felt really bad for her because like on her last attempt she got it up higher than she had the other 2 attempts, but then like she couldn't just lock. You have to lock your arms completely out at the top.
So why are they trying to do so much weight if you're based off of like how fluid you do it?
So it depends.
Or do you get more points for like the higher the weight?
Yeah. So you get more points for the higher the weight. So as long as you cannot fail the lift by like doing everything technically right, and the way they judge you is there's 3 lights. So there's a judge on the left side, judge on the right side, and the judge in front of you. And each judge has a button. So they can either green light you or red light you. Or white light or red light. And so if you get a white light, that means you're good. If you get a red light, that means you're not good. Okay. So you can get 1 red light and 2 white lights, and it would still be a good lift.
Okay.
But if you get 2 red lights,
is it all based on like how your arms are like?
Kind of. So it's like it's different for each lift, but like I said, for the squat, you have to be below 90 degrees. You have to go down after they say squat, and then hold it at the top, and then they'll say rack, and then you have to rack it. If you rack it too early, then it doesn't count. Because
you're like trying to get it off you.
Yeah, like, and like also too, like if you don't walk your knees and your hips out all the way at the top, then it doesn't count. Dang. So yeah, it's just like a lot of like little technical things like that. So I think that's another reason I was nervous, is just because I'm like, okay, sure, I can get like the weight up, but like, can I do it in a way with a good technique and stuff? But after I went through everything, you have to stay to the very end because they drug test you.
Oh shit!
So and if you
the bench girls like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
I know. Well, and that's what's funny is like, so I ended up staying to the end because they usually drug test like the top 10 people. It's usually not random, but it can be random. So I was like, first me, I'm like, I'm not gonna get kicked out of this federation like on my first one because I didn't show up for the drug test. So we stayed to the very end, and they announced who they were drug testing, and then they were about to do awards, but it was 5 hours away. And it was like 7 o'clock at night. So I was like, we got to go home. Like it's nighttime. And so we left early. And then just like 2 days ago, I was just, I'd already made my post about like, oh, like this is how I did. And I'm pretty happy with it, but I want to do better next time, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm sitting in my bed and I get a message from somebody, and they were like, hey, were you at the powerlifting meet this past week? And I was like, oh yeah. And they were like, yeah. So I got the 3rd place trophy, and I didn't get my last deadlift, and they counted it as I got it. And so I contacted them, and you actually won 3rd place, not me.
What?
Yeah.
No.
So she's like, the girl was so
all
sweet
because
about it.
like other people failed.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. So it pays to lift less weight.
Sometimes it does. And that's like my coach is like, especially when you're a beginner, she's like, like the first rep you do is going to be a weight that's easy for you, because we just want to get your confidence up, get a number on the board. So because if you fail all 3, then you just don't score.
Yeah, it's like, why'd you even?
Yeah, so she's like, so we do one easy one, and she's like, even though like that's technically a score, she's like, the first one I always take as a practice one. It's a number you're gonna hit. It's not gonna be hard for you, and it gets you on the board. And she's like, then your second one, we do kind of like a mid-range, make it a little bit harder, but you're probably not gonna fail. Yeah. And then the third one is like, okay, we're gonna get a PR, try to push you, try to. And if you fail, like, oh well, you got the other 2. Yeah. So that's her approach for coaching, especially when you're beginning. Yeah. Now, like for her, did
Nas do it?
No, so she just coached me and Casey. Like it's called handling, when like the coach is like, so she'll go up and like tell them what the next weight that I'm gonna lift is and stuff like that. But she has a meet this Sunday in Louisville. Yeah. So I'm gonna go down and watch her there.
She's probably crazy strong.
She's like 5'1", I think. She's shorter than me.
Yeah.
She squats like 400 pounds.
Damn.
She benches like 230.
Jeez.
And she deadlifts like 4 or something.
Gosh. Now, how many girls did the competition you were in?
It was like almost 50-50.
And you got 3rd place out of how many people?
I'm trying to think of how many people. Like 9 or 10 in my weight class.
That's still good.
Yeah. So I was like,
are the weight classes split up by like 10-ish pounds?
It's so stupid. So I think the men is about like 10, 20 pounds, but the women, it like doesn't make any sense. It like jumps around a whole lot. And super heavy weight for women is 198 or higher.
What?
Yeah. Which it's like, that is not, so like there's a lot of girls that are just tall that weigh 198, you know, or if you're just like a kind of bigger girl, like 198 is like not crazy heavy. And it's like, that's the super heavyweight. So my friend Casey, I don't know how much she weighs, but I think she weighs more than 198. And she's like, I'm competing with these girls that are like, you know, way smaller than me. And then there's like another girl that's like thinner than her, but like just like was like insanely tall, like taller than her. So it's just like, she's like, after the super heavyweight class, it's like, it's not really fair.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because it's just like the body.
I wonder if it's because like there's not as many girls like doing it.
That's what I think, and I think
because there's
now,
probably a shit ton of guys.
And that's what they said. Like now, it's like getting pretty like that. Mean it was like 50-50 with men and women, and so it's like it's pretty cool because it used to be you would go and you'd be like one out of 3 girls, you know, and so it's like, oh, I won 3rd place out of 3 people. Oh, but yeah, but we probably, I mean, there were probably like
for your first meet, and then you get 3rd place. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was excited.
Yeah,
so I thought I didn't even look at the scores because I was like, I probably finished
when
last.
That girl called you, you were like, all right.
Yeah. And I just thought it was really sweet too that she like actually wanted to mail me the, you know,
that's super cool
award. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So once
is this one that Nas is about to do like crazy bigger?
Yeah, and it was like funny. One of the guy who is, I think it was the guy who was reffing is also going to be reffing her thing, or maybe the guy that was reffing is the one that's putting on her meet, something like that. But he came up to her and he's like, "Hey Nas, I saw you were signed up for my meet in a few weeks." He's like, "We're gonna have some pretty heavy competitors like lifting," and she goes, "I am a pretty serious competitor." Just like looked at him deadpan in the eye, and I was like, "Yeah, that's me."
He's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, so
that's cool though.
Yeah. So what my goal is for October, which is when my next meet is I'm gonna try to cut down to the next weight class, which is 132 or lower, and just see how I compare at that weight class, because like right now, more of my weight is, well, I don't want to say more of my weight, but I have a decent amount of fat on me still that I could lose, and like without like losing muscle. And I don't think I'm going to gain like 20 pounds of muscle in like 6 months. Yeah. So I think I'm going to just try to diet a little bit, cut down to about like 120 to 130, and then do that meet at a lower weight class and just see how I do in comparison to the girls in that lower weight class.
Did you get to watch girls in that lower weight class?
Yeah, and I feel like all of the weights that they did were weights that I could do.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Pretty easily. So I know I probably will lose a little bit of strength just because I'm not going to be as heavy. So trying to, you know, being 120 pounds and trying to deadlift like 250 pounds is going to be a little bit more difficult. But
at least you know like how it works.
Yeah, and I think that's like the first meet. It just like really helped me to like understand like just the rules and feel like way more like comfortable doing it. And it's just like, I don't know, it's crazy. It's like a adrenaline rush, you know, like you go up and you do your lift and then like everybody's quiet and then everybody screams and stuff. and then like I go back and I sat down.
Do people like if they fail, they like, ooh.
Yeah.
Like for real.
Yeah. And sometimes like
I was wondering if like people like talk shit or something like.
No, and that's what's crazy is like I think a lot of women are afraid to get into like the weightlifting community because they think
they're gonna get judged like crazy.
Yeah, especially when there are bigger girls. And my friend Casey, like she's a bigger girl, and you know everybody is just like so supportive of her, and like she like kills it, and she does such a good job. And it's like I like it because it's not a thing where you have like I love bodybuilding too, but it's like you have to be like 8% body fat or lower to do bodybuilding.
Yeah,
like, and that's just kind of how it is if you want to be competitive. But powerlifting is a sport that it doesn't really matter what you weigh. Like you can, I mean, it might be easier or more difficult depending on what weight class you're in, but you can still do
That's what I was gonna say. It's probably just the weight is probably just for what class you want to be in.
And that's what, like, I signed up for 148. It was the weight class I signed up for, and I got up to, when I was bulking, I got up to like 152.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I told my coach, I'm like, this is like the highest I want to get. Like, I'm not really like feeling like my knees were starting to hurt. I was like, I'm getting kind of fluffy, you know? And so I told my coach that I want to start cutting because I didn't want to get any higher than that. So he's like, all right. So he started cutting, and it was like the day before the meet, and I was like still weighing in at like 148.5 and stuff. And I was just like, oh man. And so I didn't eat anything for 18 hours. Like I fasted for 18 hours. Didn't drink any water for like 12 hours because I just like, I drank water before bed, but I didn't drink any water. And when I got up in the morning, I didn't drink. And then I went down to the hotel gym, and I had like a waist trainer wrapped around me, and I was like running on the treadmill.
Fucking sweating it out.
Yeah,
right
and I had
before.
like a tracksuit on and everything.
What did you end up weighing?
146.
Damn, you dropped 2.5 pounds.
And so I think that was something that kind of honestly hurt me a little bit in the long run, is because I think I was,
you're weak.
I was dehydrated and I hadn't eaten a lot. So the first thing I did after my weigh-in is I went and ate like a huge stack of pancakes like immediately. But now that I like kind of know how that is, I kind of want to try to make sure I'm more in the middle of my weight class, like versus like being so close that I have to do a water cut or something.
Yeah.
Because
You're like, I don't need to do it that drastic next time.
And then I couldn't sleep like that night for some reason. I don't know if it was because I was like excited or what.
Probably.
But so I just think like the lack of food and lack of hydration, and then plus like the lack of sleep, I think it just kind of like threw me off a little bit. So I think I could have done better, but again, it was like my first meet and it was a learning experience and stuff. So
that's cool.
It was still cool. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is like the one that like Nas gonna do? Is that one for like money?
I don't know.
I didn't know if
I'm not
sure.
The
Arnold, do they win money?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times it's like if there is a cash prize, it's like only the first place person or whatever gets it. But usually I know more about like bodybuilding and stuff because I'm just now getting into powerlifting. And that's what's cool. It's like I've been in bodybuilding for 2 years and have yet to compete because it's such a long process. But with powerlifting, it's like I started that 6 months ago and then I competed at my first meet.
Yeah.
So that's another thing is like if you want to get into something but you don't want it to be a
like
thing that
longer.
takes really a long time. Yeah. Because I'm just now getting to the point where I could cut for a show if I wanted to for bodybuilding, but I probably still wouldn't do like super well.
Yeah.
So it's How much can you squat?
I'm doing that. I got a fucking torn meniscus. I'm like afraid to squat. I'll do leg press.
When did you tear your meniscus?
Well, I was playing hockey in high school.
Geez.
I looking back on it now, like my buddy Jameson works like as a surgical tech.
Mm-hmm.
He does something else with surgeries, but he was like, it's kind of pointless to do it now. Like you should have just did it back then.
That's how I feel about
like,
my PCL.
My mom and dad, they don't need to. They didn't need to be spending the money on knee surgery.
Well, and that's the same thing when I tore my PCL. I was like an adult because that was when I was playing roller derby, and I asked them, do I need the surgery? And they were like, well, they're like, if you build up the muscles around your knees, like it can compensate, for that. But I don't think they were expecting me to like be getting into like powerlifting.
Yeah.
So if I would have known that I was going to go down that route, I probably would have had the surgery. But now it's just like the recovery time. It would be like 6 months or something before I could start squatting.
Yeah.
What I was doing again.
I think I'm just afraid of it, like, because like if I do when I go to the gym now, when I do leg stuff, I'll do the Smith squat machine, but I won't go down like you normally would. Yeah. Just because I don't know, I'm afraid of my like leg buckling and snapping.
There's one video of a guy squatting.
Yeah.
Like,
and then the
like
leg press machines. When their legs bend inward, that shit just.
Well, that's why.
Yeah,
you don't lock your legs out at the top of a leg press. Like that's like, I am not into like people like going up and critiquing people at the gym, but that is like the one thing I will say. If I see somebody locking their knees out,
don't do that.
I'm
I
like,
don't want to watch that live.
Oh God.
There's some people I'll see. Like the other day, I was watching this guy. I don't even know how much weight it is. It was like 6 plates on each side, and he was a big dude.
Yeah.
But when he like pushed his legs kind of straight, like stretching his legs out.
Yeah.
And I can't tell if he turned the bars to where it's ready to come down. I'm just like, dude, all it's going to take is this guy locking his legs up the wrong way. Yeah. And I was just like, good God, like, I don't want to see that.
And I think I won't say where I went to high school at, but I think a lot of people that were trained by like high school coaches, like football players and stuff like that, and they were trained like weightlifting from high school coaches. A lot of those high school coaches do not know proper form for when you're lifting like really heavy weights. It's like the biggest debate is about like the arch on your back when you're benching.
Yeah,
like,
I remember they always told us, put your feet shoulder width apart and you want your back just straight.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's fine if you're just benching like a normal like 10 to 12 reps or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're lifting super heavy weight, like arching your back and putting your shoulder blades together actually protects your back more. And so I don't know how many times I see, especially on girls' profiles, because girls tend to be more flexible so they can get a bigger arch. And guys will be commenting and they're like, you're going to break your back if you were lifting
because
like that.
They'll like have their back like bent the wrong way.
And it's like, but like, well, it's basically the girls are doing it the right way, and the guys are just like commenting because they don't know any better because their high school football coach told them back in 1985, "Oh, you want to have your back flat on the bench."
Yeah,
and they don't know anything about actually.
Yeah, because I'll watch you when you bench, and you like have your back, you have your whole body arch.
Yep.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
and honestly, I don't even really need to be doing that right now because the weights I'm lifting are not.
That's just enough. If you're lifting heavy.
Yeah, okay. But it's like for me, I'm just because I know my goals are to be in powerlifting. I'm just getting the technique down now, so it's like it's normal for me, you know.
Yeah.
So, but like Nas, and like if you think about it, if you have your back like arched up like this, when you bring it down, it's like you only have to bring it to here because you just have to touch your chest, so it shortens your range of motion too. And if your like back's like this, you have to bring it a lot. Well, and that's what all the guys say. The guys are like, it's cheating, and it's like actually,
it's like not going down far enough for a push up or something.
Yeah, but it's like it totally depends on the sport, and it's like if you're doing like high rep, low weight bench presses, like probably doing that full range of motion is probably good because you're getting but if you're doing 500-pound bench press, you know, you want to make that as small of a gap as possible, you know, because it's going to protect your back, it's going to be easier, and like that's the thing, it's a competition, you're trying to press the most weight, so as long the rules for bench is your shoulder blades and your butt have to be on the bench. But
at the competition, do a lot of people arch their back?
Everyone does.
Everybody does.
And so that's the thing that's funny, it's just like,
or if they see somebody do it flat, they're like,
what are you doing? Well, and this poor guy, he was at the competition, it was very obvious that he just lifted weights in a gym, that he had never like actually done powerlifting before. I think he only ended up getting 1 lift out of the 9 that you have to do because he did not know the rules at all. So he like took the thing off, and then they say squat, and you have to squat after that. And so he took the thing off and just immediately squatted, and so he got he got red lit for that. And
or he just like squats and then just drops the bar.
And that's another thing. You can't drop the bar, or it doesn't count. You have to stay under the bar the whole time. And then like with the bench, he like went up, and then he went down and immediately went back up, but you have to go down and then you wait until they say press, and then you push up. So he was just like boop boop, and they were like, nope. This
guy like, so they not have a coach?
No. And so then he got his second deadlift, or his first deadlift he tried to do, it was way too heavy for him, he couldn't pull it. The second deadlift, and that's another thing that's complicated, is so if you try to lift, like let's say you try to deadlift 250 pounds for your first one, you can't go back down on your second attempt. That's your mark. So you can only go up from there. So if you fail your first one,
some of these girls that like try to, they're like, I'm gonna shit on all these other girls and do like 205.
So he goes up, he fails his first deadlift. The second one, it's the same weight. He pulls it, he gets it, but he takes a step forward with his foot. You can't move your feet once you pull. So he got red lit for that one. And the whole time the referee is like, this man is obviously really small or really strong, but he obviously doesn't know his rules. Like and you're like, this guy's like obviously a beginner. Like this, they're like, no, this guy will come back next time.
Like in front of everybody?
Like the announcer is like saying this, and I could tell like he was so embarrassed, and I felt so bad for him. So when he got up to do his last deadlift, the announcer actually was kind of nice to him. He was like, look, dude, he's like, just go up there, pull it. He's like, wait until they tell you to, pull it, and then don't move your feet, and then just bring the bar back to the ground and like hold on to it the whole time. And so he went up there and he pulled it, brought it back to the ground, and everybody like erupted, like started
They're
screaming.
like, holy shit, he did it right.
He got 1 lift. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, but it is cool because like that community, I mean, it was funny, but like that community is like so supportive and stuff. And I saw like
at the end of the day, like,
I saw like 5 different guys like go up to him like afterward just and be like, oh, like where do you train at? Like are you around here? I can come and give you some pointers, and you know. So it's cool. Like I don't know.
And that guy's like, nah, bro.
Yeah, I got this for myself.
I'm going to this competition, getting first.
Oh man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I just kind of wanted to know, like, I wonder what he expected.
That's super funny,
though. Yeah, I think the girl that like failed all of her benches and just left, like that for me, I was just like, even if I did do that, like I would just like stick around for like, you know, the sport of it, like just to be a good sport and just to get the experience. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I wouldn't just flake after that. Yeah, or she didn't even let the coach or like the refs know either. she literally just was like, she just dipped out. So they got her numbers all set up, like ready to go. And then they were like, called her name, and they were just like, does anybody know where she is?
Oh my gosh.
And they were like,
so some of these people just like don't even show up.
Yeah.
That's nuts. That's crazy.
Yeah. And like one thing that I thought was also really cool is my coach like has instituted like a new policy as far as like sportsmanship goes. Like you already are not supposed to like swear or anything like when you're on the platform, just because you're
or
like,
if you like fail, be like, fuck.
yeah, because like there's family members and stuff there. So my coach said, like, you know, no matter what you do, like don't like get shitty, like don't like
be
swear.
professional.
Yeah, be professional. And then she wanted us on our last lift to go around and shake all of the judges' hands. Yeah. She's like, these people volunteer their time, like they're doing this, they're not getting paid.
COVID. You got COVID. Right. You got COVID.
I know, that's kind of what I thought, but I was just like, whatever. And I'm like, we're all like breathing on each other. Like everybody that was in the competition, like we all touched the same,
the same place.
I'm like, good thing I'm vaccinated, it's fine.
Yeah.
But
that's a cool rule though.
Yeah, I thought so. And so like at the very end when I did my last deadlift and I failed it.
Yeah.
And I walked up to the first ref and I think he thought I was going to start fighting with him.
Oh shit.
Like be like, no, give me another chance.
He's like,
or
like
yeah, he literally was like, mm-mm. And I was like, thank you so much for, you know, your time.
He's
and,
like, oh shit,
yeah,
this girl's nice.
I know.
So, that's super funny.
Yeah. But.
Do you have to put powder on your hands, or is there a rule where you can't use stuff like that?
No, yeah, you can use chalk and you can put chalk on your back too.
Okay.
They are very particular about like the outfits you wear though. Like you have to wear a singlet.
Yeah.
So like I had like a wrestling singlet on.
Puts like tattoo designs all over it.
Well, I ended up getting like I was trying to find like the coolest one, which is like kind of hard to find like a cool singlet. But I ended up getting a Nike one that's just all black and it just has the Nike swoosh like right in the chest, and that's it. So it's pretty like and then my coach gave me one of her competition shirts that she wore because it says fight or quit on it. And she's like, I just really feel like this like represents like your spirit and stuff. So she gave me that to wear.
They need to like print one that is like a picture of a guy squatting's face.
Yeah.
And he's like, and it's just huge. That would be fucking hilarious. Yeah. Like those pug t-shirts.
Yes. Like the Olympic divers where they're making those stupid faces.
Yeah, where they make those stupid faces. Yeah, that shit would be funny.
Nas at her last competition that I went to, I think it was last spring. She blew a bunch of blood vessels in her eyes.
I
think it was from her deadlift. Like she was like pulling so hard, and it just like literally her eyes were like red. Yeah.
Were there people that got injured?
No. Yeah, no. And that's the thing is powerlifting.
I didn't know like which one, like if anybody's gonna get injured.
Yeah, powerlifting is a pretty safe sport as long as you're being smart about it and using correct form and using a spotter.
Oh yeah.
Because most of the injuries, like I think, usually happen when people are lifting way too heavy for themselves.
Yeah, and they drop the fucking bar on their knees.
And there's no reason to be like lifting more than you know you can lift. And if you were trying for a PR, then like make sure you have a spotter. Like the other day I was trying for a PR, but there was nobody I could ask to spot me. So I like made sure I went to a rack that had like the bars underneath it.
Where you can roll it.
And I just literally like went down as far as I could with just the bar to see like how much of a drop it would be if I didn't make it. And that's literally what I did. I failed it, and it's so funny because all of
you're like nobody's looking.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do a plug. My Instagram account is Gothic Fitness, so it's GOTHICC. Gothic Fitness.
Gothic.
But the videos that I post where I fall are like my favorite because I like fall in slow motion every single time. I'm just like, and it looks like it's fake. It looks like I'm faking a fall, but like, I don't know. But I like to post like my fails. Usually I post them in my story. I don't normally put them on my actual. Sometimes I do, but not always. Usually if it's funny, I'll post them on my actual thing. But because when I got into powerlifting, I was like looking at all these people that were lifting like insane amounts of weight, and they never post fail videos. Yeah. And so it's like I would try to squat 150 pounds and I would fail it.
You're like, I want to see some of these people fail.
Yeah, because I just felt like, okay, I just can't do this, you know? But then when I actually started going to a powerlifting gym and I saw how many people failed in there, I'm like, oh, like you have to fail in order to like, you know, get better because it's like you're not going to, and like if you go really slowly and like Nas, like already like my workout for this week, she has me only squatting 140 because like I'm going back down a little bit to like build my strength back up again without getting hurt. But like the first time you try to do a PR, like there's a very good chance that you're not going to get it, you know, and especially if like you didn't eat enough that day or if you had bad sleep or whatever, there's all sorts of factors. So just like being able to like put it out there for other people, like even if you drop the bar or even if you fail, and because that was like my biggest thing I was afraid of. And I'll tell you this story because I know you know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
So after we got back from the Arnold, we went to the gym, and my friend was like, "Oh, like let's do squats," and I was like, "Okay," and which I was not powerlifting at the time, but she had just started, and so she was like, "You should squat 180," and I was like, the most I have ever squatted.
Yeah, didn't you say you started off at 150?
Yeah, so the most I had ever squatted at that point was 150, and it was 150 for one rep.
Yeah.
So, and it was hard. So I was like, there's no way. And she's like, "Oh, you can do it. I'll spot you. Like, it's fine." So we're at LA Fitness, which is like the worst place ever. And I take a step back. Also, at this point, I had only squatted on the Smith machine. I'd never done a free bar squat, which it's way different. Like the balance is just like so much different.
Yeah.
And so I go down to do the squat, and I said, "I don't have it." And I started going backwards, and she just takes a step back. And the bar rolls off of my shoulder. It like grabs me somehow by like this shoulder and like pulls my left shoulder like back. And I fell onto the ground and like hit my head on the back of the bar.
Oh shit.
And she was just like, "Oops." I was just like, cool.
You're like, "Nah, I don't want to do powerlifting."
Right? And so then I was like shitty. And then me and her went back to my house, and like I was kind of shitty the rest of the night because I was just like, I literally told you like I wasn't. And that's the story of our whole relationship. I literally told her I wasn't comfortable with that. I didn't feel confident in it. And I felt like I knew myself pretty well to know I wasn't going to be able to get that. And then when she pushed me to that, she wasn't there for me, you know? And Nas, like having her as a coach has been just such a completely different
experience. Like she knows how to like build it up.
Oh yeah. And she's like, and she doesn't give me anything that she knows I can't handle. And even like on my deadlift, when I failed it, she's like, "I know you can do this weight." And I went up and I failed it. But I knew I could. When she told me how much it was, I was like, I could have done that. Like, you know, it was just, and it was like one of those weird things that I didn't eat enough or I didn't sleep enough or something.
Yeah.
But she would never put me in a situation where I'm doing a 30 pound PR.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. Like,
and not even
not
training
spotting
like
me
that.
and not, So I think that it's just like a lot of the reasons people don't like powerlifting or just like even lifting weights in general is just because they're afraid of it.
Yeah.
And that scenario left me kind of traumatized from squatting for a while. And I actually had to go to like getting a wooden box and just squatting the bar and just like sitting down on the wooden box and standing back up just to get that depth. Because I would never go low enough because I was so scared that I woit fall backwards if I did. Yeah. So
I've seen people at Vasa. Well, have you been up there?
No, I haven't yet.
They got like a whole like area where it kind of looks like it's just free squat bars, like not Smith machines and stuff. But I've seen people like fail over there and fall or all kinds of shit.
This one time,
when you were talking about bench press, I was going to tell you I saw this one guy that was bench pressing the other day, and he's like, he has like big beer belly, and he like benched, but brought the bar forward, bounced it off his belly, and then like brought it back.
No.
And everybody's like looking at him like,
that sucks.
I'm like, you're making yourself throw up.
Oh. Well, and that's the thing too is I actually see that a lot because a lot of powerlifters are bigger.
Yeah.
Because like
I would think you'd fuck your ribs up, like bringing it down real quick.
Yeah.
They just like bounce it off their body.
So the other day I tried to do a hip thrust, a hip thrust. I had my arms on the back of my couch, and I was like basically kind of like doing more of like a glute bridge. But then I was like, "Justin, come over and sit on my lap, and I'll try to like do a hip thrust with like low body weight." And at first, because my legs were kind of scrunched up like this, he like sat right on my boobs, and I was like, "Ow, that hurts! Don't do that." And then I had him get up, and I like spread out a little bit more, and I'm like, "Okay, like sit like more like on my like hip area."
Yeah.
So he tried, and he like sat on my ribs, and then he like put all of his weight on my ribs, and shit. I like dumped him. I just like turned to the side and dumped him.
It's probably some crazy muscle groups when you're trying to do that.
Yeah. And that's what makes your butt big for all the ladies.
It's the hip thrust.
Yeah, it's like hip thrust. And
I've seen that machine. They got one in Vasa. Like it's like a machine.
Well, because I do it with a barbell now, because like the machine ones like don't go up high enough anymore.
Yeah.
So I'll just like have a barbell sitting on the ground and then have my bench behind me and put my elbows on it.
Yeah, they'll like roll it on top of it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not. And I think I've done like 200 and something before, but Justin weighs 240 and he like almost crushed me. So I was like, no, we're not doing that again.
That's crazy. Do you feel like does your back hurt anymore? Like when you're tattooing and stuff since you're lifting?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's getting a little bit better. But I threw out my back probably about 3 months ago now. It was so stupid. I was actually loading the plates on the bar, and when I like went to grab a 45-pound plate and like I twisted, it just like
wasn't right.
Something, yeah. And so it just ever since then I have like this one spot on my back that's been a little bit weird. Yeah. And I started going to the chiropractor, and they did like a scan of my back, and they said that basically the right side of my back is stronger than the left side of my back because I've been compensating for that injury. Yeah. So they're doing like all of these like muscle stretching techniques to just try to keep my back like really loose, so it's like open to growth, because I guess like if your muscle's injured, then it like won't be growing because it's like trying to protect itself. Yeah. So I told Nas what I want to focus on between now and November, besides just being able to lift more, is I want to do strengthen my knees up more, because I think that will give me more confidence in my squat, and then work on strengthening my lower back. And then I had one more that I wanted. I just want to increase like my quad size. Like I just want to have giant quads and crush watermelons with my thighs. Yeah.
The Russian chick from Dodgeball.
Yes. Oh my gosh. She's my inspiration.
She's a beast. That's funny.
Yeah.
I feel like ever since going back to the gym and using that machine where you like put your knees on that twisting ab machine. Oh yeah. Man, my back doesn't hurt anymore ever since I started using that thing.
Yeah, and that's what I do. Maybe I should try. I was like, we don't have one of those, I don't think, at Indy City, but I do like stretches like that, like where you cross your leg and you like twist one way and twist the other way. But I think that's what a lot of it is just like your back is just, especially when we're in a career like we are, and your back gets stiff and stuff, and then you go try to lift 200 pounds. It's just like not ideal. So
no, that machine, like I remember the first time I used it, it like when I was done, I felt like I had a new back. Yeah. Like it like, I don't know if it's just stretching it with weight.
I don't know what happened, but like in between my shoulder blades, like I felt like I needed to pop my back for like weeks. And I would have Justin like pick me up and try to like pop my back or like step on my back, and nothing worked. And I went to the chiropractor, and the chiropractor literally was like, breathe in, and it just like popped. And I was like, I've literally been like so uncomfortable for like weeks, and he just like immediately popped.
That's crazy. So, Brent that I work with, he started going to the chiropractor, and he said like the chiropractor did something to his feet, and like it just like relieved a shit ton of pressure.
Oh yeah, because it's like what is that called? There's like a name for it, where like there's all these pressure points in your foot, and like when you push on my massage therapist does that, like towards the end of my massage, she takes her thumbs and just puts them like right into the center of my feet and like puts a lot of pressure on it.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It feels so good.
I haven't gone yet. I my body hasn't been hurting like that.
That's really good. And then the one time when I was tattooing, I was having a lot of pain in my thumb, and then I went and they did acupuncture, and they put a needle. Yeah, and it was like, it was so weird because it's not very deep or anything. It's just like barely in there, but I just felt immediately like a ton of pressure was like relieved. So
I just bought one of those massage guns, and I just like I just like hold it on my hand, like vibrate
like the gun one.
Yeah, just like vibrate my whole fucking.
Have you
hand.
seen like the people on the internet are attaching a dildos to the
Yeah, I saw one where they do that, and then I saw one where the guy like puts it on his forearm and he does like this, and his fingers are like. I was like, this is ridiculous.
So funny. Oh gosh.
There's so many people that abuse those things.
Oh, I know.
I bet the guy that first made it was like, "Oh man, this is gonna help so many people like with massaging."
Oh yeah.
And
well,
then
like I had Justin
porn or something.
I had Justin using it on my back like the week before my powerlifting meet, because like my back was feeling kind of rough, and it helped like a lot. Yeah. But then Justin would like start massaging it on my butt. And I'd be like, all right, we got to stop that. I'm like, and Nas told me, she's like, you're not really supposed to have sex for like the week before your meet. Yeah, just like, you don't want to be exerting any extra energy towards anything. And so I'm like, all right, Justin, you got to lay off the butt massager.
So, that's funny. That's funny.
But it worked. So I also have like a little finger massager that's like little wheels, and it just like rolls over each of your fingers like that. And so I use that if my hands are like cramping really bad after work. But I've been like popping my knuckles a lot. And
Really?
Yeah. So
I've been doing one thing. I watched this guy who's a gamer, and he said like if you want your hands to feel loose, he's like he does these exercises where you make circles with all your fingers.
Oh gosh, it's harder.
So like in the morning, I'll do like form tattoo, and I'll be like this, and then do it with like all your fingers, like, and then do it like, and then one of them he'll do like 2 fingers.
Oh,
it's insane. But then I started doing it for like 5 minutes, all with your whole hand, and then my hand just feels loose.
My chiropractor told me that I can do this thing where this might be too.
Oh yeah, I've seen people do that.
Yeah, like turn it this way.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to stretch out these muscles.
Yeah.
Like when you're tattooing. Well, because when you move your wrist when you're tattooing, you can feel like that muscle being flexed and and that's why I stopped doing roller derby was because I started tattooing, and during roller derby I had 2 concussions, a torn PCL, and a broken collarbone. Yeah. And I was just like, if I break something and I'm out for like 8 weeks, or longer, I'm like, I was starting my tattoo career. I'm like, I'm going to forget everything I learned, So now that I'm like more settled in my tattooing career, it's like, I feel confident that if I were to injure myself, like my clients would wait around for me. Like it's not like they would just like all bail, Yeah. And I feel like it's not like a thing where I'd like, especially after quarantine, it's like 3 months of no tattooing. I came back and I was terrified that I was gonna forgotten how to tattoo.
Forgot how to use a liner.
Yeah, I was honestly nervous, but then I was tattooing a friend, and so we were just talking while I was getting set up, and then I was like, all right, and it started going, and I was like, oh, I guess I remember. Like it was just like second nature. So, but I think once you like, that muscle memory is like so important.
That's why like if I go on vacation, I'll come back and do like a small tattoo.
Yeah,
just like warm my hand up. I feel like it makes a difference.
Oh yeah, I always feel like the first tattoo I do when I come back from vacation just takes me like a tiny bit longer. Just I have to think about things like a little bit longer than I would normally. But
we gotta take care of our hands.
Yeah, hands and our backs. That's what I'm trying to figure out like when I'm gonna retire, because
you want to retire?
No, I don't want to, but I know my body is gonna give out eventually. So I really don't want to be tattooing when I'm like, even like 65, which is normal retirement age. I'm like, I would want to probably, if I am still tattooing at that point, I'd want to cut my days down a lot, because I wouldn't want to just keep trashing my body once I get that old. Yeah. So I've kind of like,
be that old tattooing 6 days.
I'm thinking about like my grandma is only like 70 something years old. She's a really young grandma. And I just like picture like my grandma tattooing. And just like, I'm like, it's cool to go get tattooed by like, somebody like Lyle Tuttle or, you know, whatever. It's like, oh, this is like the tattoo, like greats, but like to get tattooed by like a little old lady. I'm like, are people going to want to get tattooed by me when I'm 65?
Are we even going to be good like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, probably not.
They gotta go back down to doing tiny tattoos again.
Well, that's what Lyle Tuttle, I think for like the last several years before he died, he just did a signature.
Really?
Yeah. So like people he would go to conventions and stuff, and most like people like at the convention would get tattooed by him, but all the tattooers would go and get his signature tattooed on them.
You gotta get famous.
Yeah. Just $1,000. Just and my handwriting is horrible too, so it'd just be like really shitty.
I need to come up with like a symbol. Yeah. Just do it on everybody.
Yeah. Also, one of my friends that I used to tattoo with was in a band, and she had a couple of people like want to like get her signature tattooed on them just because she was like in this band. Yeah. So I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, yeah.
I feel like I have to do something like that. We've been talking for a while. I know. See what this camera's doing. I feel like we're gonna have like a 4-part video with you. This camera's been going for an hour and 25 minutes. This one's been going for 20. Do like 10, 15 minutes. This guy's chilling.
Oh, sorry.
My bad.
Yeah, we'll have to do an episode where I like bring in a bunch of rescue dogs, and I'm these ones are available. You can talk to these guys.
Yeah, and your rescue page is on a on Facebook only, or you got a website?
Facebook and Instagram. We have a website, but my brother is the one that like runs it, and he like took it down for maintenance and has never put it back up yet.
Okay.
So, but the best way to get a hold of us is through Facebook for sure. But yeah, and it's just Pink Heart Rescue on.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's because they like when they have the double merle and they're all white, their little noses are usually pink, so it looks like a little pink heart.
Yeah.
So that's where that name came from. But
we'll have to need to bring some of the dogs. I want to see this giant frog that you bought. How big is that frog?
So the girl's about like that big.
Yeah.
And then the guy,
I want to see that thing.
And they can get up to 10 inches.
What is it? The African bullfrog?
Colombian marine toad.
Holy shit.
So they're toads, not frogs.
Yeah.
But I got baby ones before, like this big.
Yeah.
And the lady, which I hate this about reptile people, like she just lied to like sell me one. I was like, well, I already have a crested gecko set up, but my gecko died. And I'm like, would these guys do well in a crested gecko setup? And she's like, oh, absolutely. Like they would do great. Like blah, blah, blah. No. Crested geckos need to have humidity like almost all the time.
Yeah.
But the toads, it has to be humid in the morning, but then dry out. So like, or vice versa, it can be humid at night, but then dry out and over the day. So it's like, it can't just constantly be moist.
So do you have to have the tank like sectioned?
No, I just have heat mats on it. So basically I spray, every morning when I wake up, I spray them down. And then because of the heat mats, by the afternoon, it's dried out. Yeah. And then I feed them in the evenings. But then also, this was the thing that I think killed the ones that I got. They have to have a clean bowl of water every single day because they lay in the water and detoxify by soaking in the water. Okay. So after one day, you look at it and there's like all this sludge and like brown.
They can't drink it.
No, yeah. So you have to give them new water every single morning so they can drink it. And
do they sit there and like drink it? Like
I don't know. I've never seen them drink it.
I remember the first time I watched one of my snakes drink water, and I was like,
I know you can see them like
you can watch it like
go down their throat.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I thought my little snake that I just got, the white dragon one.
Oh yeah,
I thought he was
is that the banana one?
No, this one's like the all white one with the tiny little red eyes.
Yeah.
Which that snake was $800.
Yeah, I paid that one that I had that died. Yeah. It was like $600 or $700.
So, and I like literally, I'd already bought the toads. The toads were $300. It was $150 a pair.
Dang.
So I bought the first toad, and then I was like, well,
fucking drop money over there.
I go, well, wait a second, will they be lonely? And the guy's like, well, I wouldn't like to live by myself. And I'm like, all right, give me the second toad. So I bought 2 toads, but I spent my own money on those.
Yeah.
So guys, like me and my husband have like personal money. So it's like every month, like we're like, here's your spending money for the month, here's my spending money, and the rest of our money goes to like bills and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was all from my personal money. But I spent like pretty much all the personal money I had on those toads. And so then I was like walking out, Charlie was with me, and I was like getting ready to walk out, and I see the snake, and it's like all white and has the tiny little red eyes. And I'm like, it looks like a double merle snake because all of our dogs are all white and they have little tiny eyes. And I'm like, and so I like asked him about it, and he's like, oh yeah, it's like a gene mutation, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, can it see still? And he's like, oh yeah, I can see fine. Like there's no health issues with it. It's just like whatever.
I'm trying to think of what the gene one was at. It was like well, do you remember what yours is called? Like what the genes is?
No, he just said it was called a white demon.
White demon. It was like a exanthric.
Oh yeah, those are the ones that have like the black gene in them.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's the only other ball python I really want.
Yeah, it was like GFI or exanthric or something like that, but it was all white and it had like some random little lighter gray, like black speckles on it. But
I want like one of the ones that's like the stormtrooper or like the panda.
Those ones are crazy. Yeah, get on. If you ever want to look at expensive fucking snakes, get on Morph Market.
I like got into a fight with a guy on Facebook about it because I like posted a picture of one of the stormtrooper ones.
Yeah.
And I just like, this was before I knew about Morph Market, and I was just like, hey, does anybody know like how much one of these ones would cost? And everybody was like making fun of me and was like, oh, yeah.
$10,000 snake.
Yes. And I was like, all right. I'm like, you got one? I'll buy it. Like I was just like.
You're like taking a picture of the money. Hey.
Yeah. I just like was so mad that people were just like assuming because I was like some young girl.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have money.
They're like, this chick ain't gonna buy this fucking snake.
Yeah. And I was like, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Like, Justin would have killed me. But.
Shit. That one guy, BHP Reptiles, that Brian guy, he has it's like a cow printed reticulated python. I can't remember what it is. It's like the only one in the world.
Yeah, I would.
And I'm like waiting for him to breed it. And it's getting pretty big.
Well, that's like crested geckos. They have black crested geckos now that are starting to pop up. And one the other day was bred, and it was I keep wanting to say skinless, but that's not scaleless.
Scaleless, yeah.
And it was cool looking. But that's the only other two ball pythons I really want is like I cannot say that word in
the exanthric.
Exanthric, yeah. Whatever.
It's like a new gene.
Yeah, it makes everything darker, and so like some of them, it's like like the normal ball pythons. It's like you can get ones that look like that, but it's just black.
Yeah, and I saw some people with those.
Yeah, and I bought one that was a baby. And I told myself I'm never buying baby animals again because it's just like sometimes you just get them and they like won't eat. You know, and you like
that's
do
what happened
everything.
when I got that pied one. And it fucking ended up dying.
I love all of my snakes now because they've been eating every single week. It's like been really good.
Yeah.
And sometimes during the winter, like mine will slow down on their eating and stuff, and that's normal. But like I've gotten my sand boa was the same way. My sand boa just like would not eat, and then finally, and she was getting like skinny to the point where I could see like her skeleton and stuff.
Yeah.
And finally, I got her to eat, but I think like the strength it took for her to kill the pinky and like eat it caused her to die.
Yeah.
So
that's why I'll never get a baby snake.
No, it's not worth it.
It's just
people
too
will say
hard.
like, "Oh, it's a proven eater." But okay, you say that, but like, how are you proving it to me that she's eating every week?
And it's probably because you have it in a rack system.
Yeah.
So like, we're gonna put it in a tank or something.
Yeah, and like people walking by because that's like right now the white demon one because it's not a baby, but it's like
it's like a juvenile snake.
Yeah. And so it will eat, but it can only eat like small rats or large mice.
Yeah.
And so the large mice it was eating, it had no problem. And I gave it a small rat because I ran out of large mice. And when it was eating, it was like I was scared it was gonna like rip in half.
Oh yeah.
Because it's
you
like
remember the black snake?
Yes.
My brother has it still. We fed it a mouse. Oh my God. I've never seen its mouth stretch like that.
Was it a live one?
Yeah, it killed it. That snake's getting long as fuck. It's like,
oh my God.
It's like here, and it's probably like
it was always hungry.
It's a machine.
Yeah.
That thing doesn't stop. But yeah, we fed it a mouse, and I was like, dude, there's no way it's gonna get it. There's no way. It stretched its mouth so much that because the snake's black, you could see the pink skin.
That's literally how this
like
one
it was. I was like, dude, it's gonna rip its mouth up. It's gonna rip its mouth up.
I was like freaking out because
it was crazy.
The white demon one obviously is white, but like it was the same thing. Like the scales were so separated.
Yeah, you can see like each scale like separated far. Like it's cool.
And I was just like watching it.
I just like watching snakes eat. It's so cool.
I like it as long as the rat's already dead. I don't like it if they're alive.
When I had that Burmese python, I was so happy when I got it to eat frozen thawed.
Yeah.
Because it sucked buying. I don't know what it is. I have like this I don't even know what it is, but I don't like touching like a bigger rat.
Yeah.
And when I had to start feeding it medium-sized rats, and I was like, dude, this thing's fucking huge. There's so many stories with feeding snakes, how it's gone wrong. That one time Antonia fucking watched my snakes. God. Oh my God. And that snake had killed that rat before we left for vacation.
And she just left it there?
It stayed there and cooked under that heating light. And I remember when I walked in there, I couldn't even believe the snake wasn't dead from the smell. But I remember I walked in there and it smelled like a dead body. And I was like, Tony, how'd you not smell this?
Yeah.
And then
she just probably didn't want to touch it.
Oh no. I remember I picked it up with tongs and it split in half. It was fucking disgusting. Well,
so my hognose, when I got it eats super well for me too. And I took the pinkies and I just put them on a plate because I have like shredded paper.
Served them.
Yeah, and so I like put it on a little tiny plate and I put it under the heat lamp so it keeps him warm so he'll get more attracted to him. But the first or second time I fed him, he didn't eat one of them because I tried to up him from 2 to 3 and 3 was too many, so he just left one. But I went to bed and the next morning I woke up and it had like melted.
Oh my!
It was just like a gelatinous blob of pinky, and I was just like, "Oh, there's a wiener dog outside."
Oh yeah, probably walking.
But it was like so gross. It like literally looked like Jell-O or something.
That's so
And then
crazy.
I went to like dump it in the trash can.
Yeah.
And it was like cooked onto the plate. So I had to like get a paint scraper and like scrape it off into the trash can.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that everybody wants a fucking reptile, essentially a snake, until they learn like what it takes to feed it, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong.
Oh yeah, and somebody asked me the other day, they're like, well, can't you just feed it bugs or something? And I was like, no.
I know.
And honestly, I would, now that I've had reptiles that eat mice and eat bugs, I would rather do the mice, because like if you can get them to eat frozen thawed, it's like I have a mini fridge out in the garage. I keep all my rats frozen in the mini fridge, and then on Monday or Saturday nights I take out as many as I need to thaw them, and then I just feed them Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
With the bugs, I have to keep a container of live bugs somewhere in my house, and I have to feed and water the bugs to keep them alive, so I can feed my toads, you know? And so like with my crested geckos, it's a little bit better, because I get a bunch of small dubias and I just split them between the two tanks, and I just dump them in there, and they already have water, and then I just drop some of the little fruit pellets for them down in there so they'll stay alive. But with the toads, it's like I can't just put like a million dubia roaches in with the toads, because they'll like start taking over the tank and stuff. They'll start. And it's not like a bioactive.
That's what happened with my scorpion.
Yeah.
When I that's why I'll never feed a scorpion dubia roaches again. They would like dig in the soil. The scorpion's never going to find them.
Yeah.
And then I remember after my scorpion died, I remember I emptied all the dirt. There's like 30 of them. They like fucking bred inside of it.
Yeah.
And there's like little like grub looking things. Didn't you have
my brother
that weird grub thing?
It was a rhinoceros beetle.
Yes, that thing is so crazy.
And I want to get another one.
It looked like the fucking nasty slug bug from Starship Troopers.
It was like this big.
Yeah, that sucks the brains out of people.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that thing looked like? That thing's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember you showed me a picture of that. I was like, how did you get that?
I got it from the guy that I got Noodle, my first snake from.
He just like what?
I went to his house in Ohio to buy Noodle.
Yeah.
And he was giving me a really good deal on them, because that's back when Lewis sticks were still like $800.
Yeah.
And he was just trying to clear out his ball pythons because he was focusing on geckos. So he sold me Noodle for $400.
Yeah.
And then when I got there, he was like, "Is there anything else you want? Like whatever." He's like, "I'm trying to clear out all my bugs too." I was like, well, "What kind of bugs you got?" And so, well, then my brother, like, if you follow him on Instagram, there's like Spike the rhinoceros beetle or Spike the beetle or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's like a beetle that has those pinchers and it draws. So they like give it a marker, and then the beetle runs around and it draws pictures.
What?
Yeah, it's like crazy. And so my brother like loved that beetle. So I think it was for my brother's birthday, I got him a rhinoceros beetle larva, and my brother like kept him for like 6 months. But he never grew into a beetle.
Really?
Yeah, he died before he grew into a beetle. But
how do you have to keep like?
They
how
have
do you
to have
have
like
to take care
dirt,
of them?
and they have to have like leaves and like sticks and stuff to kind of cover up in, because they have to stay pretty moist. So you have to mist their tank down, I think. And then they eat wood, so you have to put like little sticks in there and stuff for them to eat. And then they get hard and like pupate. And then they turn into the beetle.
Dang.
So his started to pupate, and it died during that process. So
just maybe like the temperature or something.
Or something was just wrong.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I don't think people understand at all how hard it is to take care of some of these things.
How like finicky it is. And like, that's why I'll never get a chameleon, because like the humidity, if it's
I only know one person that has a chameleon in Indiana that like it's like
done well.
Yeah, done well for years.
Well, that's what Charlie had, a baby chameleon like that big, and they had it for like 6 months and it died. And, and the thing I've also learned about chameleons is they transport them on trucks like in big like groups, you know. So they're just like, and the amount of getting tousled around in the
just
boxes.
like the stress.
It just like kills them. So like a lot of the times people get chameleons, and they're not cheap. Like I mean, it's like $80 to $150 for a baby one. And then you get it, and like 3 days later it dies because it was, roughed up so much in transport. Yeah. So
that's why it's kind of hard when I remember I ordered a snake off Bob Clark's website, and that was the first snake I ever got. Yeah. It did really good.
Well, that's why I tell people, like, if you're gonna order a reptile, first of all, if you can go to a reptile show, go to a reptile show because you can look at the animal in person and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to order one from a breeder, go to the person's house and pick it up if you can.
Yeah.
Or like make sure it's from like an actual breeder who does this like all the time and not like somewhere like Uncle Bill's or whatever. Because like I was looking at a website that I was thinking about getting a snake from, and they were like saying that they only ship snakes when it's a certain temperature out, like they won't, and they have like heat.
That's how Bob Clark's thing is. They'll put like little heat mats in it, but like they were like, we're not shipping snakes during these months.
Yeah.
Like it's just.
So I think that that's good because it's like, if you're gonna ship a live animal, like you can't be like leaving it.
They usually overnight it too.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't like the idea of like shipping puppies, like, too.
I know. I see people all the time, like damn near getting scammed over buying them
all the time. Yeah. I literally, somebody on like the Midwest Corgi Facebook page posted that they wanted to buy their kid a Corgi for Christmas or whatever. And they like PayPal'd this person like $800 or whatever. And the puppy was supposed to show up like the day before Christmas, and it just never showed up. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't trust anybody. Like, it's really hard to get me to buy. Like, I didn't trust Amazon for the longest time.
Really?
Like, Justin would be ordering stuff off of Amazon, and I was like,
like, you're like, nah.
Yeah, because everything that I was used to like ordering online was from like Oriental Trading Company and stuff.
Yeah.
But that stuff was really cheap, and like sometimes it was shitty, but it was cheap, so it didn't matter. So then when Amazon started coming around, I'm like, I'm not gonna buy a $500 TV off of Amazon. Like,
yeah, seriously.
That just seems
that's
so
how
crazy.
I feel when I like see those fake Facebook stores.
Oh yeah.
And Instagram stores that pop up.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta look at the comments first to see if there's somebody who's like.
I have ordered some stuff from them. The only time I've gotten burned is I ordered a Great Dane sweatshirt for Justin, and it was like a Chinese one, and I got like extra 2XL or whatever, and it was, I mean, it still fits him, but it's like, obviously this was for a Chinese 2XL and not, so it's like a little short on his arms, and like, so he just wears it around the house, but like
loungewear.
Yeah, or I put it on, but yeah. But yeah, usually if you look at the comments on those kind of things, you can kind of tell.
Yeah, you can tell if you're about to get scammed.
Oh yeah.
Has Autumn had anybody try to scam her yet? I just had it happen with my assistant.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, you know how, and it might happen, but remember when I was doing that giveaway and people were making fake accounts?
Yeah.
And well, one of them, I guess, reached out to this woman, and what it was doing, you know how people like on an iPad, there's like an app where you can text somebody from a cell phone and you can just make the number up. Somebody, and it's gotta be somebody who knows me or something, but they made a number up that was Nicole's, my assistant's number. So it looks like the right number. They texted this chick and was like, and they talk completely wrong.
Yeah.
Like, they don't like, they told her like, it's a $20 deposit through Cash App. You can show up, and they booked her like the week of.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not going to get an appointment the week of. But they told her, they said, yeah, if you show up this day at Travis's shop at 2:00 for this amount of money, you can get however many tattoos you want done. And I was like, what? I was like, no fucking way. Like, it was crazy.
Well, and that's why it's like, I feel like if you're going to get scammed by something like that, like, you're kind of stupid, just a little bit. Because I was like, you
kind of need common knowledge. But yeah, I was like, she showed me the screenshots. I was like, that's not how my assistant talks to people. Like, it was crazy. We haven't had anything like that yet. Fuckers are targeting tattoo artists now.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's so common that tattoo artists take deposits through Cash App or whatever, so it doesn't seem sketchy.
Yeah.
Like if I'm looking at a dog and somebody's like, "Oh yeah, just Cash App me $500," and I'm like, like that doesn't sound right. I'll be like,
only do PayPal if any of them, because that's
PayPal
the only one you can
dispute the transaction. Yeah. And that's why one of my friends who's a tattooer stopped using PayPal, because he did a tattoo on them and she paid with PayPal. And she okayed the design. She said it was great. She said she loved it. He tattooed it and it looked just like the design. And she said that she didn't like it and he didn't do what she wanted and disputed it. And they took money out of his bank account.
Yeah. I remember are you in that Tattoo Shop Council group or whatever?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Or maybe it's Tattoo Shop Talk. But There was somebody on there that said that happened to him at a convention, and they're out of the country.
Oh my God.
And the person like got tattooed by them, and then after the convention was done, they disputed it, and then you got to pay them back.
Yeah, and you can dispute it
like,
back.
Yeah,
because that's what my friend ended up doing. He was like no, and like disputed it back, and he like provided them photo evidence of like the tattoo and stuff, and they ended up like reversing it again.
Like, hell no.
Yeah, so but it's one of those things where tattoos is so hard because I could say like, oh yeah, Travis was supposed to tattoo me and he just didn't. Yeah. You know?
In that group too, there's they put people on blast who will steal pictures of people's work, like Nico or Tyler's work or something, and they'll be like, I'm Nico's assistant. I'm booking appointments for him.
Somebody did that with Sneaky Mitch.
Yeah. Send me money here and then I'll book you down, and people fall for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which it's like, I get it. Like that's a good scam to fall for, because it's like being like, oh, I'm like his assistant, like I'm trying to like learn how to tattoo, but you think, oh, if he's Nico's assistant, he's gonna be pretty good.
He's legit.
Yeah. So
or they make like fake tattooer profiles, and they're like, I'm gonna be guest spotting in this city.
Yeah.
And if you want an appointment, you gotta put.
Well, and that's what I feel bad whenever clients are kind of apprehensive to send me money, because it's like, I get it. Like I totally understand.
Luke had a chick the other day. She's like, I don't do any of that shit.
Yeah.
She's like, just bring it in.
And that's what I tell people. I'm like, if you're really uncomfortable with paying online, you can book a consultation. Yeah. We'll book you a half an hour consultation. You can come in, pay me the money in cash. We'll talk about your design. Yeah. So I'm always down to do that, but it's just like.
And that's why she said she came in, because she got screwed over. Yeah. With it.
Which I like, with how many tattooers are, being shady out here. I don't blame it. Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah. Are you still just tattooing in the studio by yourself? You're not gonna.
I don't know. I have one girl that's coming to like check out my studio, because she said that she has been on the wait list for like 8 months, and they haven't had a space open up with a sink yet.
At a different shop?
No, here, or at the Jaeger office building.
Oh,
yeah. So she's just
there. Yeah.
And so, and it's funny. I felt really honored that she like wanted my opinion on anything, because it's a girl who tattooed my best friend when we were in high school. Gave my best friend her first tattoo. Yeah. So she said, which I'm not going to say her name just because I don't know if she's like trying to like dip out from her other shop or anything.
Hold on, look at her Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. But she she was saying that she's been on a wait list for there for a while and hasn't been able to get in. And she just wanted to see if she could come over and like see my space. And so I was like, yeah, sure, like that's fine. So she's supposed to be coming over on Wednesday. But I don't know if she's going to try to be like, oh, like, because she asked me also what days do I tattoo in there. So I'm like, maybe she's like wanting to tattoo on my off days or something. So that's like one thing that, I don't know. I just get really nervous because again, everybody's shady and I just don't trust anybody. Yeah. Like, and there were a couple people I reached out to when when you first moved out, that I was like, I would trust this person to tattoo with me. But a lot of them like lived too far away, and they were just like, and I was like, move to Indy, and they're like, and they were like, maybe in a year or two, and I was like, all right. So, but what I'm kind of thinking about doing right now, which we'll see just how this year goes, is I kind of would like to buy something that's like I really want to buy an old church. I think that would be sick. Yeah. But also like maybe an old Victorian house or something like that. I'm thinking about like Bargersville, Mooresville area, just because there's like 2 shops there, and they're not like.
What happened to the police station? Did they end up renting it out?
No, I think it's still there. I don't think they've like even.
You're just not trying to be there.
Well, yeah. And so I'm like,
I know why.
Yeah, but like I still like love that community of Bargersville, and it's like right by my house. So and there isn't a ton of competition. So I'm like, I really don't want to move to Greenwood, because there's like, right now I'm like in the far
There's
corner.
So many shops in Greenwood. It's not even
I know. And I feel like I'm the furthest out away from everybody, all the other shops, but there's still like so many.
I saw the other day, there's another one that just got built up. You know where Uncle Bill's is, and the Shell gas station right there? Yeah. Somebody built a shop right behind that Shell gas station.
Oh,
is that little strip?
Is that the Skechers one?
No, that guy went to Whiteland.
Oh, okay.
But remember there used to be,
because that's where that used to be, I think.
Well, it might have been. It's behind it. That another person took over. Another person built a barbershop in that spot. Oh, okay. But where that Big Red Liquors is, there was that space on the corner, and I remember I looked at it, and I was like, "Oh, this would be tight." And then if they paid a mural on that brick building because it faces the street, but somebody, it looks like, built a shop right there. little strip mall.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's weird because like tattoo shops in Greenwood like pop up and like disappear and pop up and disappear like so frequently.
Wait until somebody puts some more of them motherfuckers in the mall.
Oh, I know. I like thought about that the other day.
Washington Square Mall.
Which I'm like, I cannot imagine that now. Like going and getting a tattoo from the mall. Oh
yeah, I couldn't even imagine.
If you could tattoo minors.
Questions.
Yeah.
Like even being in here, like I'm so glad we don't have a piercer.
Yeah.
Because these kids from Roncalli will come by. Like it was funny. One day, Luke was in here, and we were finishing up, and these two girls looked like they came out as Hot Topic. Walked over here, and they're like real quiet. They walked in. They're like real quiet. And they're like, "Do you guys do tattoos?" And I was like, It was, I've never been awkward like that.
Yeah.
It hasn't been awkward like that for a while. And I was just, and they were talking real quiet. I was like, what?
Speak up.
I was like, speak up. I was like, what do you want? And they're like, sorry. They're like, I want to get a jar of lightning bugs. I was like, what? It was so funny. And Luke and I are sitting there watching them. And the one girl is like, so how much would it cost to get this? And she's like real quiet. And I'm like, well, show me a picture of the design or something or whatever. And she's like, I kind of just want it like this big on my forearm. And I was like, you want a jar of lightning bugs? That's small in your
the size of a quarter.
Yeah. And it was just so awkward. It was like, I can tell they probably never walked in a shop.
No.
Ever.
Well, and that's like when I got my first tattoo, I went to Irish Ink.
Yeah.
And I just like literally like walked in there and was like, and Justin went with me. And I was like, I turned 18 in like 2 days. I'm like, I want to get tattooed. And, and I was like, this is what I want. And, yeah. And they were like, oh yeah, you can, like this person can help you. And I was like, okay, cool. And I like talked to them and like got the appointment booked. And then we left, which I'm like, now looking back on it, I'm like, man, I was probably so annoying. Yeah. And we walk out and Justin is, his birthday's the day after mine. And so I scheduled it for my 18th birthday. And he goes, well, I wanted to get one too. So then we walk back in the shop. We're like, actually, can we move it to the next day? Because I think my birthday was on Friday and his was on Saturday. So she moved the appointment for us. And so we left and then we came back. And so the one person did my tattoo and some guy did Justin's tattoo. And I was kind of out in like the main area, which I don't even think they use that as like a tattooing space anymore. I wasn't like in one of the booths. I was like out in the like, not the lobby, but like that area when you go right past it. And then Justin was like back in a room and my tattoo got done really, really quick. It was really simple, really easy. And then Justin's should have been really quick and really simple and really easy. And now like me looking back on it, I thought Justin was being a baby, but now I'm like, this guy, I don't know what the fuck he was doing because it was like a logo about this big and it was like the Half-Life video game logo.
Oh,
so
yeah.
And so very small, very simple. And like took him like 45 minutes to do.
Oh my god.
I think he colored the whole thing in with a liner, first of all.
Oh,
and I think he just took like forever like to do it. Which I'm like, if you like use like a, like a what do you call them? A round shader or like just like a 14 round liner, like I mean I guess like that's fine with something that small, but like to make it take 45 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And so Justin, and it was like right on Justin's shoulder blade, which I'm like, it was a small tattoo, but that's a painful area. And Justin was like being such a bitch baby about it, and he was just like ow ow ow, like moving his shoulders.
That guy's probably like,
the guy was like, you have to sit still or I'm not gonna do this tattoo on you. Yeah. And so I'd like been done and like for like a while.
You're just chilling.
Yeah. And so finally they got done with it.
I wonder who it was because I remember I just remember there was just Shelby and Devin.
Yeah, Shelby was when he did my tattoo.
Yeah.
And when Shelby did my tattoo, which she did an amazing job, but afterwards, all the people who owned the shop came over and like looked at my tattoo, and they were like, "Oh, like great job, Shelby! Like this is awesome." Which I thought that was kind of like weird because it was like it's a pretty simple design, whatever. And then like I found out that she was an apprentice at the time, and they were just like, "Oh, this is your first tattoo. You can just let."
They're like, "Don't tell the random person."
Yeah, I know. And so now, like looking back on it, I'm just like, I know so much better, obviously, than to just like walk into a shop and get something, And I actually have that tattoo covered up now, not because it's bad at all. It was like she did an amazing job for an apprentice tattoo, but I got it like smack dab in the center of my foot, and then I decided I wanted to have two big foot pieces that covered both of my feet, and so it's just like
it's kind of in the way.
Yeah, I don't have any tattoos that I like regret like the subject matter or anything. It's more of like I wish I would have went to somebody who could do it better, or I wish I would have picked better placement.
Yeah.
Because it's like now, like with my back piece, it's like I'm fine with that tattoo. Like I don't hate it or anything, but I'm just like now I'm getting a full back piece, and I like wish I had not put that like right in the middle.
That's what I try to always tell people.
Yeah. Like
yeah.
Or even if like you get something on like your shoulder, I really don't. No offense, anybody who has shoulder tattoos, but I really don't like when somebody just has like one thing like right on their shoulder, unless they're gonna like be like I'm only like have 2 tattoos.
Yeah,
you know, like then that's fine.
Minimal tattoos.
Yeah, but if you're gonna be heavily tattooed, it looks so awkward to like have like a full back piece, or even my assistant Autumn, like she probably would have done things differently if she had thought about it before, but she's got like this cat tattoo in the middle, then 2 cat tattoos here, and then she has the Dave Matthews like guitar like silhouette thing. Yeah. And so it's like she's like it doesn't like it doesn't fit together. And so she's like, yeah, if I would have thought about it, I wouldn't have not gotten a cat on my shoulder. Yeah. And then I would have just gotten the guitar really big, and I would have gotten the cat somewhere else, you know? Yeah. So that's what
when those one girls came in, I was like, you should get it bigger, but I was like, if this is your first tattoo, like you need to get something like small, or you need to like know what it's gonna feel like.
Yeah, because you don't want to sit through half of it and then feel like you can't.
And I tried to explain. We had some walk-ins the other day, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are all booked," and I was like, "Well, if you go to a shop and they could fit you in that day, like I don't know if I would."
Skeptical.
I'd be pretty skeptical. I'm like, this is the busiest time of year for everybody.
Well, and that's why I was like, my clients have been like really, really great. Like where if they message me and they're like, "Hey, like, can I get in? You know, like this week or whatever." I'm like, yeah, like actually I'm booked until July, you know, whatever. And they're like, wow, that's so good for you. Like, that's awesome. You know, so I'm like, it makes me happy that they're not like reacting mad. And it's really only the clients that like have never come to me before. And they're like, I want to get like a 1 letter, and I want it to be $50, and I want to get in like tomorrow afternoon.
You need to go down the street.
Yeah. And I'm like, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like if you want something little, but also like, I mean, and this is like to each their own or whatever, but at least at this point in time in my career, I'm never going to turn those little tattoos away, because a lot of times those little tattoos end up turning into bigger tattoos.
People want bigger stuff.
So I'm like, if you're willing to wait for me and you're willing to pay what I charge, like I'm totally willing to do like your tiny little whatever tattoo, because if you have a good experience with me and then you want to come back and get like a half sleeve, then I'm like, hell yeah. So it's like the one thing that's bad about being by yourself is just that like I feel like you can do that sometimes at like a street shop by being like, oh, like this is what somebody who's newer or doesn't have as much of a clientele. Yeah. And then that person might keep getting tattooed by them, or like get tattooed by multiple people in the shop. And like for me, it's like, because it's just me, I'm like, well, you got to wait until July. Yeah, like, exactly. So
I've kind of just learned that people are going to get mad.
Yeah.
The people that actually like pay attention to how we work will wait.
Yeah.
Like, it's more just people that like are hanging out with their friend or something, and they look you up.
Well, and that's why I've ended up doing 2 walk-ins this week, just because both people brought friends with them, and it was like the end of my day, and they were like, well, I like that thing that's on your cork board. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm like, we wrapped up at 6, and I usually am not done till 7, so I'm like, I can squeeze you in real quick. Yeah. And so like those people, like they're like kind of lucky because it's gonna bypass the line. But exactly. A lot of people also were like, oh, I want you to like call me if I have a cancellation, and I'm like, honestly, if I have a cancellation,
I don't even know how many people have told me that.
Right? I'm like, I'm just gonna go to sleep or like hang out with my dogs more.
I know the guys in here, they'll be like, oh yeah, I didn't book tomorrow, or I had a cancellation. I'm like, you're not gonna post anything? Yeah. And they're like, fuck no, I'm taking a day off.
And that's like I get so few days off that it's like, for me it's like worth it, especially if it's a thing, if it's in like the middle of my day, like I will absolutely be like, who wants a flash piece or whatever. Yeah.
But if it means you're gonna have like an earlier night ending,
I'm like, oh yeah, I'll go home and relax and trim my dog's nails. Like, so
just relax and chill.
Yeah.
I feel you. Oh. Cool. Well, I think we're gonna be done for today.
Okay.
Well, we need to do another one.
Yeah.
In a week or 2.
Yeah, we can do one that's more like tattoo centric.
Yeah,
like,
we need to talk about the like
all my crazy.
We need to talk about like all the
sex stories.
Yeah, and just the weird people you tattooed when we were working together. Yeah. And all the animals that you've had die. Like I want you to explain to people how your Great Dane killed all your rabbits at one time.
No,
that was crazy.
You want me to start crying on the podcast?
But that's still, it's just, You have so many fucking stories. It's not even funny.
I swear, like I talk to people and people are like, there is no way like what you're telling me is true.
Yeah.
And I'm just like weird shit happens to me. And my therapist tells me it's because I'm trying to solve previous trauma by finding experiences that I can like relive.
Finding new trauma.
Because my brain wants to try to fix it.
That's
and
crazy.
So I have to learn a healthy way to fix it instead of getting attracted to like crazy weird situations again. So I'm working on it.
That's funny. That's why I miss working with you, because you got all kinds of crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, I do.
All right. Well, we'll get off here and we'll do another episode here later.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome.
I feel like we're on the phone. I feel like I need to be like, bye.
I know, right?